Welcome back to the Crypto's Key Conversation. This is a glorious day, and Mr. Huber hits it on the head right here. We were right about everything from the beginning. Shout out to, digital asset investor, Mr. Huber, all the solid XRP community members that were involved in making content, and the Twitter sleuths, finding all the information and spreading the word, find the good fight together. So shout out to the entire XRP community. Shout out Ripple too for standing up against the SEC, because finally the documents come out and it has revealed that we have been right about everything all along. And this is just a perfect depiction of how we feel like, gosh. So obviously there's a lot more detail that's going to be going into everything. I'm going to cover some of the stuff that I've noticed. I was up at 3:00 in the Twitter Spaces, like with Eleanor Terrett and a whole bunch of other people, Mr. Intuitive, and everybody was up talking about kind of what we had seen so far. But obviously, John Deaton in his panel, the likes of Jeremy Hogan and others are going to go more in depth tomorrow. But I'm going to cover some of the key points that I've seen in regards of the Hinman emails. But the whole point is, congratulations. We have more power, more strength in our corner as the XRP community. Ripple has, obviously, they already had this information, and it goes over here. Did I even put it? Right. Yeah, right here. So just like what Brad Gallhouse was talking about, he says, I wish I can go more in depth, but we've waited this long, 18 plus months. I don't want to overstep. Suffice it to say, Stuart Alderati and I believe they were well worth the wait. So we're going to cover a little bit of it and we're going to get into it. But I want to quickly look at this. I was up when XRP had flipped USDC and it went to like 56 cents. So man, this is huge. So we're going to start right here with Crypto Eddie right here. So it says, all right, remember, people didn't believe ETHgate was real. Fact. Before making a blatant statement on ETH, SC went to Buterin, Vitalik Buterin, or his counsel to discuss what? I thought determining if an asset is security or not was based on law. So here's the writing here. Wants to make a blanket statement to that Ether is not a security, bearing any changes of thought based on the meeting later this week with Buterin or his counsel. We will need to discuss this further internally with Brett. So continuing on here, Bill Morgan has interesting input here too. He goes, here's the first two extracts covering a passage in the Rule 56.1 statement. There was some internal debate about whether to include Ethereum. No problem. Let's just call Buterin for an unbiased opinion on how Ethereum works. So literally he has it highlighted right here. It says, quote, we also have a call with Buterin later this week to confirm our understanding of how Ethereum Foundation operates. Really? And then up here he goes, this will do it for me. Holy crap on a cracker. Ethereum's founder involved in the process leading up to the speech giving Ethereum alone special clarity. This is just wrong and wrong on every level. So put this into context. Okay, what about the likes of Brian Armstrong and Coinbase trying to go and meet with them, just like Chairman Gensler says, come in and have a conversation and come in and register, right? Then you have the likes of Ripple, the company, and them meeting with them on, I think it was like a weekly or monthly basis. But it's like they can't get any information. You shut down Brad Garlinghouse when they were trying to figure out how they get out of regulatory or, how to get out of purgatory. But then you just disregard that and say, well, let's talk about your business. But then you have personal phone calls with the likes of Vitalik Buterin, who's the co-founder of Ethereum. It's crazy, man. So nothing's new for us. There's no surprise here, but this is just validating what I said in the beginning. We were right about everything from the beginning. So continuing on here. This is from a digital asset investor responding to Rob here. So remember we talked about Brett Redfern here, and we just covered it. And look, I just want you to see this JP Morgan out here at the end. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of other things. But if you come in here, digital asset investor breaks it down here. Says, so Brett Redfern was encouraging Hinman to say Ethereum was not a security. It says, quote, just say it. And I could have sworn I had it highlighted, but it's, right here. Oh, so it says, let me click in here so you can see it. It says right here, as written, the language remains vague as to whether ETH is a security. If you want to make an affirmative statement that is not a security, the language could be stronger. Just say it. So a lot of what I've been reading within the documents that I've been presented, or that's been presented so far that I've seen, literally they want vagueness. Obviously, they're going to give Bitcoin and Ethereum, the free pass. but like they want vagueness and confusion within the markets, which that's what they got. So then coming over here, obviously this was going to come back full circle. Remember, Vitalik Buterin said, "Looks like Ripple XRP team is sinking to new levels of strangeness. They are claiming that their crap coin should not be called a security for public policy reasons, namely because Bitcoin and Ether are Chinese controlled," with the laughing emojis. Digital asset investor hits it on the head. He says, Hinman is on the phone with Buterin in the lead up to the speech. The Russian has some balls attacking Ripple, knowing he was on the phone with the SEC to affect the outcome. And then he comes over here and he says, "Never forget, now we know Vitalik was on the phone with him before the Ethereum Free Pass speech." I mean, yeah, you look silly. This is just like how Joe Lubin, getting on stage gloating and everything, but it's like we have the facts, we have the timeline, we have you on audio and video contradicting yourself in every way. You guys were all a part of this. ETHgate is real. This is crazy. I'm so excited to see all the fine details in tomorrow's panel with John Deaton. So this is from Mr. Huber. He says, they pointed out to him in that what he says about Ethereum contradicts the rest of his speech, arguing more for Ethereum being an actual security. So this is talking about how on the SEC side, they're like, whoa, like, hey, you gotta kind of watch this. I wouldn't say certain things you're gonna say. Pretty much, I wouldn't talk about, in a sense, giving Ethereum a free pass. But then it says, quote, "We still have reservations about including a statement directly about Ether in the speech. Even with the I think it's caveats in the sentence, it seems that it would be difficult for the agency to take a different position on ETH in the future. Further, the rest of the paragraph strongly implies that the thinking applies to Ether. Without the sentence about Ether, those implications might generate useful reaction about Ether from purchasers or those in the fintech space. With the sentence, the reaction seems less likely to focus on analysis and more likely on focus on potential fallout and make a direct statement about Ether's status as a security." This is crazy. And then Ashley hits it on the head right here too. It says, hashtag XRP community. Oh my, beyond the Howey analysis, that's a killer sentence right here. So if we look at this, I don't want it to be too big. Let me see. So yeah, right here it says, SC lawyer reviewing speech that, quote, "the less detailed, the better." The less detailed, the better. That is crazy. Statement by SC Director of Trading and Markets that, quote, "this might lead to greater confusion on what is a security because Hinman's new test goes beyond the typical Howey analysis." I thought it was based on law. The Hinman's new test. Okay, this isn't anything new to us. I'm not gonna get crazy, but I was really excited. I was up at like I said, I was up at 3 a.m, really just stuck in on these Twitter Spaces and trying to see what's kind of happening. So we're gonna bring up Charles because matter of fact, I'm gonna just go ahead and say this right here. So Charles Gasparino put this up at it was like 4:30 in the morning. Yeah, I remember when he had put this up. So someone was like, Charles Gasparino, now would be a good time to walk back your previous statements that Hinman did absolutely nothing wrong. And then Charles says, my comment on Hinman was about the lack of evidence that he did anything wrong. The lack of evidence still exists. So when he had put that out, I was literally like minutes within seeing it. I was like, man, did he not see anything that went out? I know Eleanor Terrett was just on the Twitter Spaces with us kind of reviewing stuff. So like, how could he know that information? Or how could she know that information, knowing that he may know that information and then still come out with this statement? Digital asset investors coming over here responding to some says, an important reminder, important to remember as you read the Hinman documents today, Hinman and the SEC lied in court for over a year saying this speech was Hinman's personal opinion only. We had to piece together video of their own words to show they were lying. What are the repercussions for U.S. government agency and its people lying to the judge in court? What are the damages? And he's referencing even damages to Ripple, the company, over $200 million spent, right, to get this information. It's crazy. But Mr. Intuitive hit it with Charles Gasparino right here. He goes, "Dear Charles Gasparino, what don't you understand? Quote, unfaithful allegiance to the law." This is Judge Netburn. "I presume you think the judge made a knee-jerk statement on that record as well." So, I mean, literally over the Target Digital Perspectives, it's crazy to see Charles Gasparino, even after the light of what's kind of come out, that this is still his, his response to things. I'm curious to see. Actually, let me go in here just to make sure I cover my bases and make sure he hasn't said anything. Fascinating stuff. I know the knee jerk from the XRP community would be this proves a fraud. It doesn't. It does prove Hester Pierce's argument. We need a safe harbor in crypto. We need to stop regulation by enforcement, and Congress needs to set digital coin ground rules now. What else? I see others. Okay. Some people. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna look through all this, but anyways, yeah, it's just interesting. And then I wanted to touch on this too, because a lot of people are talking about, obviously, the positives in regards of, oh man, we're right. We were always right. And, this is going to be so strong, and this is like going to be a guarantee, success for us. But it doesn't go all the way around. There's going to be some other things that come out within all these documents. There's I think they were saying there's tens of thousands of total pages. So it's like there's going to be stuff that really doesn't, in a sense, go in our favor. But this is one thing that people were kind of speculating on. So this is how much Brad had made selling his XRP. So you can come in here and you can kind of see, it says total from foreign exchanges, 155 million, and the total from other exchanges, what's that, 8 million? Yeah, I'm looking at this correct. So yeah, I mean, a crap ton of money, right? I'm not against somebody making money. I mean, he is the CEO of a solid company. Ripple got their digital assets at the value of 0, from my understanding, and it went up in value. So, hey, they can make money. I'm not against people making money, especially if there's no wrongdoing. You know what I'm saying? So this one's Chris Larson's made millions selling XRP. So we have 395 million total from foreign exchanges, and other exchanges 58.4 million. So a lot of money being made from 2017 to 2020. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Just know there's going to be other things that come out that may not be so great for the XRP community or the Ripple and Ripple itself. So I wanted to throw that out there. But this is a solid. Let me make sure here. So this is a solid video by Stuart Alderati and Team Ripple. So Brad Garlinghouse says it's absolutely oh my goodness, I always blank on this word. That the regular, when presented with so much pushback on what he was about to say, how he piled his fake tests in the first place, decided to move forward anyway, throwing an entire industry into chaos. So I'm not going to read through Stuart Alderati's thread here. I'm just going to play the video. It's a powerful video, so I highly recommend you sit through the entire thing if you haven't seen it yet.
On June 14, 2018, then SEC Director of Corporation Finance William Hinman gave a high-profile speech where he declared that a token is not a security when it becomes, quote, sufficiently decentralized. But internal emails and documents show that senior SEC officials repeatedly warned Hinman that his speech wasn't true to the law and would greatly confuse the markets even more than they already were. Now, after more than 2 years and 7 court orders, we can finally share some of what we found in the Hinman speech documents. The SEC head of trading and markets warned Hinman that he was making up factors that, quote, go beyond the typical Howey analysis, as in not in the law, and that the speech could lead to not just confusion, but greater confusion on what is a security. Hinman ignored him.
If the network on which the token or coin is to function is sufficiently decentralized, and the purchasers no longer have a reasonable expectation that a person or a group is going to carry out essential managerial or entrepreneurial efforts, those assets might not represent an investment contract.
The same official told Hinman he should tie his speech, quote, more closely and explicitly to the Howey analysis. Hinman not only ignored him, but deliberately created factors beyond those identified by the Supreme Court in the Howey case.
I wanted to just note a few things. This list is not meant to be exhaustive, but these are things that we look at.
The SEC's own general counsel warned specifically that it's legally irrelevant if someone retains a stake in a token and is motivated to take action to increase its value, and that Hinman should delete it from the speech. And once again, Hinman ignored them and said without any legal support that it was important to ask.
Has that person or group retained a stake or other interest in the digital asset such that it would be motivated to expend efforts to cause an increase in the value of the digital asset?
Both Trading and Markets and the General Counsel also disagreed with Hinman's belief that if a network was sufficiently decentralized, information asymmetries would no longer exist, noting that a network creator would likely have more information than a retail holder, using Vitalik Buterin as an example. They warned Hinman that by creating this, quote, other category and focusing on information asymmetries, he was exposing a regulatory gap that the SEC may not have the jurisdiction to fill. Again, Hinman ignored them.
As the network becomes more truly decentralized, the ability to even to identify a promoter or to make the requisite, and someone that could actually make the requisite disclosures becomes in many cases difficult or and perhaps much less meaningful.
On June 4th, Hinman wrote that he didn't see a, quote, need to regulate Ether as a security, and set up a call with Ethereum's co-founder Vitalik Buterin later that week to, quote, confirm our understanding. On June 11th, the SEC's own general counsel advised against including any direct statement about Ether in the speech because it would be difficult for the SEC to, quote, take a different position on Ether in the future. The next day, Trading and Markets wrote that the statements about Ether were, quote, likely to create more confusion. Hinman ignored all of them and decided to make headlines, picking winners and losers instead.
Moreover, putting aside the fundraising that accompanied the creation of Ether, based on my understanding of the present state of Ether, the Ethereum network, its decentralized structure, we believe current offers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions.
The emails show that Hinman knew he wasn't following the law. He knew he was making things up, and he knew that his speech would result in greater confusion in an already confused market. But Hinman went ahead with the speech anyway, and the SEC, despite knowing all this, touted the speech repeatedly. The SEC chairman himself pointed market participants to the speech.
Bill Hinman recently outlined the approach we take to evaluate whether a digital asset is a security, and I encourage you to take a look at Bill's speech, which is available on our website.
The SEC knew the speech didn't follow the law. The SEC knew the speech would create greater confusion, and the SEC knew Hinman was making things up. So why is the Hinman speech still on the SEC's website? Why was it ever allowed to be given at all? And why has the SEC pushed a policy of regulation by enforcement, falsely insisting the rules are clear? On June...
such a solid video to really sum up all those thousands and thousands of documents. Obviously, like I said, John Deaton's having a panel tomorrow when they're going to really comb through everything. But, I mean, how could Charles Gasparino and people just like him say, you know, say the comments they say? Let me see if I can find it again in all these things I got right here. Let me come. Oops. Let me go get it again. Yeah, right here. My comment on Hinman was about the lack of evidence that he did anything wrong. The lack of evidence still exists. It's crazy, man. And I wanted to touch on this too. Digital Asset Investor says, hey, Squawk Box and the likes. It says, where's your coverage of the Hinman documents release showing SEC corruption? Where's your Jay Clayton interview? He was everywhere last week. Truth is fascinating. Truth is a fascinating thing. It gets a ton of views. When the people know they are being lied to, you should try it sometime. When the people know I'm assuming he says when they're not being lied to. But yeah, man, like where's all that coverage at? Where's the mainstream media, really hitting this out the park with the community? Quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we got so far. Obviously, there's a lot more information that's going to be coming out, and make another video tomorrow. We might even live stream. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do tomorrow in regards to when they start this show. But make sure you come to the Crypto is Key Conversation YouTube channel. Subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Crypto is Key 1. I really appreciate your support out there, and we were right all along. Congratulations. It's another solid win. We're just going to take it day by day and win by win. With all that being said, stay strong out there and be safe.